So that was the 5th episode of Hisone to Maso-tan. And this episode, yeah, there's a bit of an awkward atmosphere amongst our D pilots, to say the least, because you had Hoshino with her personal issues, you had Hitomi kind of getting mad at her and yelling and then kind of feeling bad about that, and it was just a really awkward atmosphere in general. So what was needed was some bonding. So they opted to do like a survival training with a group of them and their dragons to just kind of, you know, to bond, pretty much. And yeah, the survival aspect became more difficult when one of the dragons decided to eat all the food and just about everything. So yeah, the challenge level definitely went up. It went from like a normal difficulty to a hard difficulty in a video game type deal. You had Hoshino who decided to just try to build a raft, but I don't see that working out too well. It's a very risky strategy, to say the least. You had Hisone who decided to bring the severed head, you know, now with her to the island and had it talk for her, like talking to it, like having conversations. And that voice that she did for her sounded very familiar. I wasn't sure who it was, why it sounded familiar, so I looked up the voice actress and what she's done before, because I figured, hey, maybe it's just a voice she uses for another character. And I figured out what I think it was. I think it was supposed to be Hawk from Nanatsu no Taizai. I think that's about the same voice. It sounded a little bit like Tama from that one card anime, Lacrosse. It sounded a little bit like that, but no, it was mostly Hawk from Seven Deadly Sins. That's kind of what that was. So I'm glad that mystery was solved. But anyway, yeah, we had our girls just kind of have a nice conversation with each other around the campfire. And I do think the one thing that they all have in common is just not being good with people. That might be an element that attracts them to the dragons. I think that, at least that's the only theory I can come up with. The one thing they have in common. That one connection. And yeah, I quite enjoyed the little bat scene we had between Hisone and Hoshino. Especially since the two of them are right next to each other, completely naked, and apparently neither one having any idea about what's happening there. That was a pretty great little scene. I enjoyed that. Also, just like, why are you following me? My clothes are right underneath yours. It's not like I'm just standing here because I enjoy looking at your naked body or anything. That's just a bonus. But she was in such a rush to leave that she kind of left behind a fairly vital piece of clothing, which became obviously when the one guy decided to hit on her during that moment of slightly less dressedness. That's exactly how you should phrase that. But yeah, that did not end too well for him at all, really. But you know, overall, it was a very entertaining scene. And just a lot of silliness from characters. Like I said, Hisone was doing a lot of weird things with the severed head voices, just licking Maso-tan after Maso-tan licked her, you know, just doing it back and forth, and licking him again later, licking now. Hopefully she just licks all the other D-pilots, just, you know, to continue with that whole bonding thing. And yeah, we did have some water found, we had some food found in the forms of potatoes, so I do think they'll survive this trip, and that's really all you can ask for in a survival test training exercise, really, so. Thank you for watching, and thank you Cnouki, the Dragon of Oshu, as well as everyone else, for doing what you can to support the channel. It means a lot to me, and I hope we can continue to grow the channel together. If you want to do more to support the channel, then you can become a patron on my Patreon and get cool rewards like early access to certain videos. Have a good one.